Hey guys, last week we had a little technical difficulty in recording my picture, so I had to scrape myself off the YouTube stream. So that's why this will look a little bit distorted, but we got some great hands, and this hand is a great example of some tricky river play, and I guarantee you, if you learn this, it will increase your win rate at the no limit hold'em cash game tables.
So this hand is a 2-5 1K cap game. Full ring 9-handed. I was kind of surprised they run more than 8 hands. It's at Ocean's 11 in California.
A place that have I been to Ocean's 11? I think I've been to Ocean's 11 once. Heavy drop though, heavy drop game, right?
Yeah, same as all the other LA structures. This is my first time visiting. I usually play at the Gardens or the
Okay.
Bike or
Yeah.
in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at this point of the night, table has agreed on a mandatory straddle. So we're playing 2-5-10, and it's super action heavy, a lot of limping. And this hand we're 1.5k effective with the villain in hand.
Okay.
Okay, so there are four limbs for 10 after the 2-5-10, and villain is, I believe, the first limper. And we raise ace of diamonds, queen of clubs
So
to 80.
so four limpers and
Yeah,
you're on the
four
button?
limpers. I'm in the small blind.
Okay, so here in the small blind, what do you have?
I have ace of diamonds, queen
Uh-huh.
of clubs.
Ace of diamonds, queen of clubs.
Yeah, so it goes 2-5-10 and then 10-10-10-10.
2, 5, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and you make it 80.
Yeah, would you size even bigger? I mean, the game was playing a little bit bigger than my comfort zone, so I didn't want to go like too ham. But 70 to 80 was getting usually one or two callers.
Well, I can transport. Let me think back to my game that I put in 10,000 hours in, which is 510 at Commerce, right? Same setup here. So four limpers. I'm in the small blind with. So usually I would start with 35 and then add $10 to each limp. So that would be 45, 50. Plus you're out of position. I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
Okay,
Yep.
sounds good. And out of the four limpers, three of the limpers call.
So three limpers call, and they're in what, a various positions?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're all in position of me since I'm in the small blind.
Right, but I'm saying
So
like early,
yeah,
middle.
big blind straddle calls, and everyone's just kind of in the middle.
Okay, so straddle
And then,
calls.
yeah, I believe villain is the first limper that calls.
Straddle calls, and then two limpers call behind.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the pot is around 340.
Okay.
Flop comes Queen of Hearts, Nine of Hearts, Three of Spades.
Queen of Hearts, Nine of Hearts, Three of Spades.
Yeah.
Okay.
So pretty good flop for us. And even though we're out of position, I just continue. I bet for value. I bet 105. What do you think about the sizing? Like, do we ever have to be balanced here? Like, or are we just betting Queen X plus only?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that you'd have to really be all that balanced in this game, and it's obviously good when. I mean, you can't discount, right, someone having queen nine suited, or sometimes you can't even discount someone having queen nine off, right? Queen 8-3 would be slightly better, right, for you in the sense that it's less represented by two pair. Whereas you could make the argument that you're actually going to get called by more hands that are weaker than yours on Queen 9-3, right, with two suits. So you went pretty small here, right? 105 into 340.
Yeah, I just thought about it as like a one-third range betting kind of situation. I think I could have gotten called even if I went bigger, but I didn't want to just kind of go ham into a four-way, multi-way pot.
Well, I mean, it's an easier strategy to go smaller. I mean, I sometimes will tend to use a little bit of an in between in between sizing here of maybe like 150, 160, something like that, which isn't usually reflected in a lot of the computer work. I mean, it's a very subtle difference. I just think that you still can. You'd be surprised at how much value you can get when people are playing too many hands pre-flop. And it's not that they're like necessarily like calling too much post, although sometimes they are. But when people play too many hands pre-flop, then the fact that you flop top pair, top kicker just sort of dictates that you can just get more value. But okay, 105. Yep.
Right, because all queens and all flush draws, all straight draws are calling anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the villain calls next to act and two folds.
So is the villain's the straddle? Is that right?
Villain, I believe he was the first limper actually,
Oh,
past
okay.
the straddle.
Okay,
Yeah, so he limped in
so
10 and then called my 80,
so
and then he's calling
fold.
first to act.
So fold first, limper calls, and then fold. So now the pot is So it's 210, 550.
Yeah, I have it as 550. It comes on offsuit 4, so kind of a brick.
Okay, I'm gonna put
So I
down
think about
four
my
clubs.
sizing. Mhm.
So
Yeah,
four
offsuit
clubs.
4.
Okay.
Yeah. I think about my sizing here a little bit, and I think that whatever he's continuing on the flop with, he's
Hmm.
still continuing with. It doesn't change much. So I bet 325. I think I could have gone even bigger. Not sure.
Well, you probably could have gone bigger on a totally disconnected card, but I mean, I'm fine with it because one of the other things too is that you don't want to get any hero folds in certain situations, and the more somebody get in live poker, the more someone sort of gets pot stuck here, the more that you might even get three streets on a really clean run out here. So I'm trying to think of in my spot if I was up against one guy on a brick, how much that I would bet. I think it's fine. I might, yeah, 300 to 350 is probably what I would have said. Something
Yeah,
like that.
no, I was also thinking about his stack behind, and he has about 1K behind if he calls.
Right, right.
And so, yeah, so we went 325, and the villain kind of snap calls. Don't I don't play into live tells too much, but it was kind of like an insta call. Like I put in the chips, he put in the chips.
Yeah, I mean that's bet pacing is something. Usually that would indicate like sort of a not a slow play because there would be some thought into it. The board's also kind of wet here too, and then when you're playing at this level and you're getting into big pots, was it straddled every single hand? It was like
Yeah, we
mandatory.
were playing a
Okay.
mandatory straddle.
Because what I was going to say is that if it's a once in a while straddle and then you're playing all of a sudden this pot in that straddled pot, there's going to be some more protection raises put in by cans because people just want to take down the pot. They get scared of the
Yeah,
draws. They just want
the
to
pot
big.
sizes were relatively big. There were plenty of 1K plus pots.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So 1200 to the river, right? Queen 9 3 4. Front door hearts. Okay. And hero has ace queen, ace of diamonds, queen of clubs. Okay.
Yep, river comes the Jack of Hearts. One of the cards I didn't want to see.
Yep.
I mean, and obviously the front door heart completes. So at this point, I'm putting him on. He has either all combinations of flush draws front door or Queen X or Jack 10 is what I had him on when he snap called the turn bet.
Right.
So my thoughts here are: can I bet fold for value, or is this too thin?
I think it's too thin to bet here, especially with another card that's going to bring in some combos of two pair here. I mean, maybe like if you had ace queen with the ace of hearts and like the river was the deuce of hearts, I could maybe get on board with betting, right? On queen 9 3 4 deuce,
Oh
something
yeah,
like that.
I would definitely bet that hand as well as kings and aces.
Yeah. But here, with some of this gnarly stuff coming in here, you're losing to Queen Jack. Sort of that whole thing about him kind of snap calling. I mean, I don't think you're going to get value from Jack 10 here. So what you're losing value from is what, like King, Queen, and obviously Queen 10. You can go very thin in some of these live games, and it's another one of these things where if you do bet again, like if you go 400 here, you will get called by King, Queen, Queen 10 because people will be like, oh, like he's only betting a flush. So this is when you have to sort of think about like how wide is this guy playing? Because if he's playing a bunch of suited hands, is that more represented with flushes when he gets here at the end? But if he's playing hands like 8 5 of hearts for a limp call, does that mean that he's playing Queen 10 off and King Queen off all the time, right? To get to the end. So it's one of those kind of feel spots here. I mean, normally this is going to be a check, and I'll go back to what I would say before some of these other callers when some of the primary bluffs here get paired, people are going to be very happy to check down Jack 10. So if you do check and face a huge bet, I would not be concerned that Jack 10 or King Jack was turning a hand into a bluff here.
Yeah. If he paired up his Jack 10, for example, even though he beats none of my value, I don't think he would turn it into a bluff.
Right. Because, he thinks he beats ace king, right? Or
Yeah.
ace five or something. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah.
So,
So I checked here, thinking I'm probably going to have to fold to like a half plus pot size bet. And maybe I'll be kind of too priced into call if he went like super small.
mhm.
But yeah, it goes check, check, and we are good. It's just if he bets a large sizing, is it simply a check fold at this spot then?
I would say it is because we talked through it. And this is another thing. Like, I mean, I've talked about this before where if you were to sort of live node lock an action from your opponent, which is okay, so let's just do this as a demo, just as an exercise. So let's say that he only has one size on the river and it's 2/3. So, the actions on the river, after you check, the actions are going to either be check or he bets 800. Okay, those are his two options. So when he bets the 800, because we talked through that, then it becomes a fold. But that doesn't mean that you're giving up on the hand, or it doesn't mean that you aren't going to win the hand, because if it goes check, check, you'll win. I think for the most part, we can agree that if it goes check, check, you're going to win probably 80 or 90% of the time, right? Once in a while, you might get a nit check back from like queen jack off because the guy's just fucking terrible, right? And you lose to like queen jack or something like that. But for the most part, if it goes check, check, you're going to win the hand. But you can easily, so if we were to say that the only two options for our opponent is to check behind or bet 800, then going to the river, when you see this card, what should be your action? Do you follow what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Should it be bet fold or should it be check fold?
It should be check fold.
It should be check fold. So if he only uses an $800 sizing here on the river, then when you see this river, you should be check folding. Doesn't mean you're going to lose, because if it goes check, check, you win, right? Now, obviously, we can't necessarily simplify that. It's maybe not that practical. Maybe he bets 400, and then, you might look him up or bet 300. But if he uses large sizing, yeah.
Then if he does decide to turn whatever bullshit he was chasing with the bluff, then we just kind of give it to him.
I just think that it's that whole frequency of turning certain pairs into bluffs are just done so infrequently that it doesn't become a large sort of portion of the equation. Just like check raise river bluffs are so infrequent that you can overfold, right? I mean, you can overfold to, it's kind of the same thing. You can overfold to large river bets when the bluffs would be paired, just like you can overfold to large river aggression through getting raised on the river, whether that's a check raise or being raised in position as well. It's probably, I think what's your name here? Lee. Are you Lee or are you
Daniel?
Oh, Daniel. I'm sorry. I think you're in the right course. That I think that the river is probably pretty close to a value bet. It's closer than it looks on paper,
Yeah, I think any lower card than an 8 that doesn't complete the straight draw, I would have definitely value bet. The jack was kind of iffy.
Mm-hmm. There is absolutely nothing wrong with going into your action on the river after this card being check fold. If your opponent's going to use large sizing, that's fine. But it doesn't mean that you're going to lose the hand, because here, like I said, check, check, you win. So
yeah,
I appreciate the call. Yeah, I appreciate the call, Daniel. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel. And for more training videos like this, head over to crushlivepoker.com and you can use the coupon code YTA500 to get the first 30 days for free.